Welcome back to another weekly update. This week's been an interesting one. Made a few changes to my protocol, which is a new word that I just learnt within the Peppers world. I've got some blood work results to share. My hair is feeling noticeably longer, although still shedding, but I think that has reduced. And I've had lots of questions about MOTS-c and KPV. So today we're going to be covering how to reconstitute MOTS-c, how I reconstitute KPV, what I'm personally using them for, my latest cholesterol results, changes I've made this week, including needle sizes, my hair update, and what's next for me. As always, this is not medical advice. I'm simply sharing my experience and documenting my journey. Reconstituting MOTS-c. This is a 10 mg vial of MOTS-c. Therefore, you want to reconstitute it with 1 ml of backwater. A general rule of thumb for all peps, most of the time, 10 mg, 1 ml, 15 mg, 1.5 ml, 20 meg, 2 ml of backwater. So for this, you're just going to want to pop the cap off, get your backwater, pull 1 ml of backwater, which is 100 units. Put your pin down the side of the vial and you want it to drip in slowly. Once you've reconstituted it, you want to leave it in the fridge. I do not keep the lids, vial storage holders that I pop them in and then they go into my fridge. Most, again, 99% of peps do need to be kept in the fridge. Backwater does not need to be kept in the fridge. So from this week, I'm going to be taking MOTS-c 3 days a week on my training days. My training days are Monday, Wednesday, and either Friday or Saturday. And I'm going to be taking 3 meg each day. And I'm going to be alternating SS31 on my non-training days. MOTS-c helps with training support, recovery, energy, and metabolic health. Again, this is of course for research purposes only. I'm my own little lab rat and I'm okay with that. If you're taking MOTS-c, I would love to hear in the comments how you're finding it and what your dose is. Reconstituting KPV. This is a 10 mg vial of KPV. Therefore, I'm going to be reconstituting it with 1 ml of backwater or 100 units of backwater. Normal way of reconstituting: drawing your 1 ml of backwater, popping the cap off, inserting the pin into the side of the vial and letting the 1 ml of back slowly drip down. I generally let them sit for 15 or so minutes depending. I don't tend to play with it too much or roll it in my hands. I sort of prefer to let them sit and do their thing. My reason for trialing KPV is due to my gut health and inflammation. Previously, a few years ago, I had a colonoscopy. In there, it had shown that I had potentially colitis. I was meant to go see a specialist. I never did that, and now I've just have a workaround for how I deal with my daily life. It's fairly simple, really. I eat when I know I'm around a toilet. If I know I'm not going to be around a toilet, I don't eat until I know it's safe to do so. Sometimes I'm fine, sometimes I'm not. Sometimes I can eat the same food over and over again and have no issues. And then other times I have a flare up or whatever and need to go fairly urgently. And I've been doing that for many years. And that's probably another reason why my iron has been so low. I always had a funny gut. After the gastric sleeve, it originally started as just dumping, but then I was hospitalized for a week or so, and then my own fault for not following it up, but I feel like I'm managing it in a sense that I can get on with my daily life. I just have my things that I do and don't eat, and times that I do and don't eat. So I just need to be close to a bathroom if I'm going to be eating. This morning I wanted to have scrambled eggs before I left to go take my son for his appointment at the hospital, but I was feeling a little bit funny in the tummy, so I had to wait until I was going to be around a bathroom. So that's good times. I've done some research that KPV is used for gut health and inflammation, etc. So that is why I've added it into my stack, and I'm very excited to see how it goes. MT1. I've had quite a few questions about starting MT1, and I have decided to put a hold on MT1 at this stage. I have had a look on Google for a solarium and haven't seen any in Perth, let alone any near my way. It's been very stormy and overcast in Perth the last couple of days, so I'm planning to wait until the sun is shining a little bit more so I can get the most effectiveness out of the PEP. It needs UV to activate, so without UV, it's not going to be happening. So I'm going to be putting a hold on my MT1 and starting this at the moment. I'd rather take advantage of the tanning effects rather than starting now. I feel like it would be an absolute waste. Once we get out of this poxy season of winter, which I hate being cold, this will be first on the top of my list. Let's talk cholesterol. So when I had my blood work done the other day, I found out I was low in iron. But a really exciting part of my blood work was my cholesterol. I feel pretty much my whole adult life, I have had high cholesterol. Even after my gastric sleeve, I still had high cholesterol. This week, I decided to compare my results from 2024 to my results that I got this year. I am going to be reading from my phone. My previous results showed that my total cholesterol was 6, my LDL was 4.4, my HDL was 1, and the cholesterol ratio was 6. My latest results show that my total cholesterol was 4.6, LDL is 3, HDL is 1.3, and cholesterol ratio is 3.5, which is a massive improvement. Obviously, the weight loss is the biggest factor of this, but in doing it the right ways. Like, I love eating healthy. I love fueling my body. Changing my diet and definitely cutting out my caramel marvelous chocolate has helped big time. I've made this into a lifestyle change. This is the way that I like living, and I believe that when you have that mindset, it makes it so much easier to be successful on this journey. That I now have low cholesterol for the first time in my whole adult life really feels like a big achievement, and I am super proud of that, and just lets me know that, yeah, okay, I had low iron and, you know, that kind of sucked, and it felt like, oh, what am I doing? I need to be doing this, that, and the other. Clearly, I am actually doing some things right. So it's important to remember the successes throughout this journey, that's for sure. What I've changed over the last week. So I want to talk needle sizes. Previously, this was the needle size I was using for all my PEPs. Now, on my stomach, I do have a fair, like that is my fattiest part. And after watching Kay on her lives, which is at Labs, she talked about how deep the pin goes. So normally when I get her pins in my PEPs from her, I save those for reconstituting because these are 1 mil. However, my ones are 50 mil. So, 5 mil. No, 0.5 mil. 50 units. Oh my God. Mils, units, megs. Blah, blah, blah. Anyways, so I normally was using these, but you'll notice a big difference in the needle sizes. Given that I do have, you know, quite a chunk of fat, I have now decided to start pinning with these needles. Although I do like how easy these ones are. These are 31 gauge, which is the thickness of the needle. So they're nice and thin and tiny, and they just sort of slip in, whereas these are 29 gauge. So they are a thicker pin, but also they're a longer pin. This is one thing that I have changed in my PEP journey this week, is going with the longer size needle, just to make sure that I am getting that needle in deep enough within the sub-Q range to be effective. I would hate to have been using PEPs all this time only for this little teeny tiny baby needle, which I thought these would be fine because this is very close to the MJ size, but we're giving this a go this week. And hair growth update. This has been one of my biggest concerns over the last few weeks, and actually was fucking cat hair. Actually was what got me to go and get my blood test. Being a busy working mum, all those things, I popped myself on the back burner, but then I started losing quite a bit of hair. It was just sort of falling out. And I was like, oh my God, I need to go get blood tests. I need to see where all my levels are at. That's where I found out that I had low iron. I went for an iron infusion and I'm feeling pretty great now. This week when I washed my hair, I noticed that the hair loss was significantly less, and I definitely feel like I've got a bit of length in there now. Been making sure I get my protein in and tweaking my diet to make sure that I'm taking food with me when I'm going to be out for hours on end, and focusing, on protein. My GHKCU, water and hydration is also a focus throughout the day. It feels like I'm constantly either drinking or eating, but I want to be making sure that I'm hitting those targets. So this is a move in the right direction for me. That's everything for this week's update. I'd love to know, have you noticed improvements in your blood work, hair, or energy, or recovery after making these lifestyle changes? Drop a comment below and let me know. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you're enjoying my content. For those who don't know, I am an @Labs ambassador. My code is Jess10 for 10% off.